Many moons ago, I took a long hard look at the state of my craft room and I decided it was time for a drastic makeover. Unfortunately, my determination soon ran up against the fact that things cost money, and so it ended up on the hibernating projects pile. But now, things are finally moving again. That's right, it's a craft room makeover video. Well, actually, and go with me here, it's kind of 3. In this video that you're watching right now, I'll be catching you up on the current state of play, the grand plans, and sorting through a lot of mess. No promises it'll make much sense because I've been pretty ill this week, but I'm trying my best. Next week, I'm dedicating a video to the DIY floss storage system that I'm creating in here. And then the week after, dramatic reveal and the tour of the finished room, which will no doubt definitely be aspirational and aesthetic and all those other things that people expect. Yeah, we'll see about that last part. So let's start from the beginning. Our house has 3 bedrooms, but one of those is, our bedroom, and the other is a tiny box room that Dave uses as his office. So that leaves this space as craft room, my office, his and hers PC gaming room, retro gaming museum, miscellaneous overflow storage, and of course my YouTube studio. You'll also notice we don't have a guest bedroom, so an airbed on the floor in here is the best we can do. That puts real limitations on the possible layout. The first thing we did was dismantle the old sofa bed. As I've just said, we don't have a dedicated guest room, but reports from 99% of our friends were that this thing was so uncomfortable they would literally rather sleep on the floor. Shout out to Harry though for being the one person who apparently quite liked sleeping on there. Of course, I'm a massive hoarder and I refuse to get rid of all the component parts of the sofa bed, but we'll get to that later. Because the room was such a total clip already, we'd started kind of using it as a general dumping ground and things were starting to snowball. So the next task was just to have a bit of a square round, put things that actually had a place back in that place, and get to the point where I could actually see what was what. Why is there a box of handmade soaps on the floor? Your guess is honestly as good as mine. Stop judging me, I've seen worse in craft room makeover videos. The biggest job was going to be sorting through the various boxes, bags, and piles of essentially just random stuff. There are craft supplies going back at least 10 or 15 years, but also a lot of utter tat that I collected for whatever reason and never threw away. Honestly, I'm kind of proud of myself for chucking as much stuff as I did. Now you might be thinking, girl, this room needs a lot more than a swanky new set of IKEA mesh drawers, and you know what, you are definitely right. But I had to start somewhere. We had dead space under our desks and these were cheap, so we got one each. This is apparently a Lenart. It's not the easiest thing to assemble, but it does go pretty quickly once you get the hang of it, and it looks really good, I think. I would totally have more of these if we had any space for them whatsoever. We'd brought up the already dinged up folding table from downstairs as the new official craft table, which I guess I didn't get any footage of, and now we set about rearranging shelves, which definitely was good-natured the entire time and involved no grumpy bickering whatsoever. An ongoing issue was this pile of crafty bits and bobs on the kitchen floor. Yes, you heard me, the kitchen. After 5 months of that nonsense, it was definitely time to find this stuff a new home. A lot of it was needle felting related, so I dug out this old ugly but functional shoe organizer for the back of the door, and that became the designated felting storage. Totally stole that from Felts by Philippa, but hers definitely looks a lot better. This bin was so packed full of fabric scraps that when I emptied it out, they just sort of remained in formation. But I'd had the amazing idea, you see, to use this for storing any awkwardly long things that could be rolled up, like, say, packaging supplies I refuse to throw away for no reason, or cross-stitch finishes that aren't yet fully finished objects. That'll do, problem solved enough for now. The thing with this whole process was that this still needed to be a functional craft room and YouTube studio, so I kept having to tidy everything up even before things had their final places. So that was kind of a nightmare. All in all though, I managed to get the space looking reasonably tidy without spending any money other than those cheapy IKEA drawers. So not a bad start, but I couldn't afford to go out and buy fancy storage solutions immediately, so the rest was going to have to wait a few weeks. Or so I thought. Fast forward 6 whole months. You guessed it, everything is a mess again. My new studio light is in the way of this shot, but you know what? Now you know how we feel every single day. This thing is big. Over in the desk area, my lovely new drawers are already overflowing, and there's a random mannequin head that needs a home but doesn't have one, so we just keep kind of moving it around the room. Game shelves are kind of the same as ever, except there's another studio light and a box of random knitted stuff in the way. And hey look, that's me in my leave me alone, I'm poorly outfit. The craft shelves could definitely be worse. The fabric shelf has got got a bit overstuffed, and now that this is an active dice workshop, we need storage for that, but obviously need to make sure things like yarn and fabric are safely out of the splash zone. On top of the shelves though, oh dear god. That cube I can't even reach is fabric scraps, there's bags of knitting, boxes of handmade soap, there might be a violin up there somewhere I think. Okay, now I see why people keep asking if I have ADHD. I bought these white magazine files for super cheap in an effort to corral the bits of cardboard and whatnot cluttering up the top shelf, and it did work in the sense that we can fit much more clutter in there these days. But overall, this whole setup just needs a rethink and it needs to be a lot more efficient. Because of course, there are craft supplies all over the rest of the house as well, and it'd be great to be able to have everything in one place. This mirror is a bit of a puzzle. It was a Christmas gift last year, and the idea was it opens up and it's supposed to be for makeup/jewellery storage, but I thought I could use it for something more craft adjacent. Of course, that was 10 months ago, and I've done absolutely nothing with it, and honestly, I'm not even sure what the plan is there. If anyone has a suggestion of what I could put in here, please feel free to share. It also rotates 360 degrees and has some really handy shelving on the back, but that only works if it's not wedged in tightly by a load of old sofa bed foam that you refuse to chuck away. So one of the tasks here is to actually think up a project for this stuff and hopefully a better place to store it in the meantime, because it is driving Dave actually mad. Human-sized dog bed, anyone? I may also need to do something about this dummy, we'll see. It takes up so much floor space. But where else do normal humans keep things like their foam cheese head or wire-brimmed witch hat? Serious question. I have no idea how people find the space for these things. Everyone knows a good craft room makeover needs one main thing: generic white plastic storage baskets. I picked a few of these up for cheap, but to be honest, I kind of struggle to visualise where everything will go, and I didn't want to buy a ton of unnecessary things, so I'll just buy the rest online as the plan comes together and I know exactly what I need. The basic plan is to get everything off these shelves, out of the desk drawers, the overflow boxes in the other rooms, etc, etc. Oh no. Oh no. And sort them into 3 piles. Things I actually need regular access to, things I only need occasional access to, and things I really don't need at all and should have a serious word with myself about keeping. The things in that first group will go mostly on the shelves and maybe on a pegboard that we actually bought back when we got the IKEA drawers but never got round to installing. But it'll all be space efficient and also usable, which should mean I can fit a lot more stuff on here a lot less haphazardly. The things in the second group can live in sensibly organised boxes on the lower shelves or in the cupboard. And the things in that last group, well, we'll have to see how the self-intervention goes exactly. I found this old silver case that just had a few sewing bits and fabric paints in it. I think this must have been from when me and a few friends cosplayed as our World of Warcraft characters for a gaming expo in 2015. So this will be perfect for safely storing some very important items. Little ornaments like this are quite obviously, I think, not really me. But I've had this rabbit since I was probably about 4 or 5, so it is not going anywhere. Same deal with these cats. There used to be a third one, but I remember smashing it when I was about 8 and being utterly inconsolable. They are super fragile and I'm constantly worried I'm going to break them. Same sort of time, I got this dolphin thing. They're supposed to be hitting a ball with their noses, but that got lost years ago. I do have a vague plan to felt a new ball for this at some point, but just haven't quite got round to it. And elephant in the room, yeah, I kind of forgot she was here, but it might be time to put away the solar-powered queen. The only one of these old ornaments I'll allow myself to keep on display is this little etched owl thing. I was best friends with a girl who lived a couple of doors down in our street because proximity was basically the only criteria for friendship in the 80s. She had this in her bedroom and I was just so fascinated by it. So one day she said, "Take it, it's yours." But being kids, we convinced ourselves her mum would totally notice me walking out of the house with it and we'd get in a lot of trouble. So I remember stuffing it up my sleeve and trying desperately to look casual as I walked out through their living room. In reality, of course, we were in and out of her house probably 10 times every day, and I doubt her mum even looked round from the TV, but there you go, kid logic. I'll always remember this as my first great heist. Bit of bubble wrap for extra security, and this will keep my special things safe. Although the dolphins won't fit, so I do need another plan for those. Why do I, a fully grown woman, own off-brand Play-Doh? Because it was surprisingly useful for quick prototyping in my product design degree, that's why. And you thought I was just hoarding pointless things. Shame on you. Okay, I was about to admit that keeping this one might be pointless, but then I played with it, and yeah, I might need to keep this. Please someone help me, I obviously have a real problem. The first shiny new thing has arrived. So these are under-shelf hooks that are meant for hanging cups, but I have a whole different plan that you'll see in great detail next week. And they actually fit. Hurrah! It's fair to say I have definitely made this place a lot worse so far, but it's how my mind works. I need to tear everything down before I can rebuild it, if that makes any sense. What doesn't make sense is what this video even was. There is no conclusion. There was no real narrative. I'm waiting on delivery of more bits and pieces, and I have made a start on the floor storage system, but I can't even show you that yet. So I guess all there is to say is I'm sorry this was such a shambles, but please let me off because I really have been quite ill. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon for some more crafty nonsense, so in the meantime, have a brilliant rest of your day and keep making cool stuff.